Hello and welcome to another episode of the Green Machine Tournament Series. I'm David, your host, joined as always by Nick, and I'm happy to say we have to listen to you, Nick, about your 2002 nonsense going on. Where this is the big boy stuff. This is Euro 88, Ireland's first European Championship of the modern era, shall we say. And what a time to be alive, which you weren't.
I'm very hurt, David. Nonsense. I mean,
Uh,
we'd Saipan, we'd drama, we'd everything in 2002.
Nonsense. All that nonsense.
Who coined that phrase?
The man who didn't bother his arse showing up to 2002.
Exactly. But look, another episode that I wasn't born for. I mean, I know about Euro 88. It's another kind of mythological football tournament for me, really. But this is another bedtime story for me, really, Dave, isn't it? This is your baby. Now, it's a fascinating tournament. It's our first major tournament, but we did establish a couple of weeks ago that it's not technically not our first appearance in the European Championships. Debatable, or what do you reckon?
Well, of the modern era, it's of the modern concept, shall we say, like the whole thing of having to qualify and then you go off and play in the tournament with the group stages from scratch. Basically,
we have to claim these things, though, Dave. A quarterfinal appearance in the Euros, we have to claim these things.
Yeah. Although we weren't too far from a semi-final appearance at this one, which and also there's a few little sort of things that I want to get out there. There's always this accepted sort of side of stories and these little things that you hear, and they're even repeated today. They really annoy me, and I really want to get into. Want to cast those aspersions away.
Are you gonna spread a few rumors like I did about the blue jersey in 2002?
Yeah, well, we don't need John Courtney, the Sure Police, to get rid of those ones. There's no rumor and innuendo here, Nick. I'm in charge of this one, so it's going to be just pure fact. None of your other nonsense. 2002, it's all nonsense. Every bit of it. This is the real deal. This is big boy shit right here, right now. So let's get into it. Ireland, of course, qualified for Euro 88 by winning the group with Bulgaria, Scotland, Luxembourg, and they finished top. And it did take not last minute, but a late goal by Mr. Gary Mackay in Sofia. Ireland actually didn't think they were going to do it, and Jack himself, he didn't realize Ireland had qualified.
Yeah.
He was actually
didn't watch the game, didn't he? No.
Well, he was watching it, but he didn't realize he was watching a recording, and he got a phone call from a member of the press. Said, "Oh yeah, congratulations, Jack." I was like, "What?" He goes, "Scotland won." Oh, am I watching? It's still the first half. Because no, that's recording. It is actually, it's over, and you've done it. And of course, that was it.
Yeah,
Ireland's first major tournament of the modern era.
He's something of a cult hero, Gary Mackay, isn't he?
He is. He'll never have to pay for a drink ever again. I mean, in Ireland anyway. Yeah, it was a strange qualifying campaign. It was very up and down too. Sorry, Belgium was the other team as well. God almighty, I'm tired.
Jesus, Dave.
I know. Belgium had finished third in the previous World Cup, Mexico 86, and we had played them in the first game in Heysel not too long after, literally a year after the Heysel disaster. And we got a 2-2 draw there. Then we had a 0-0 draw with Scotland at home. And then we had a 0-0 draw at home with Belgium. Almost lost to Luxembourg at home, which is amazing. Very, very unspectacular against Luxembourg at home. 2-1 win. McGrath and can't remember the other. I think it was Stapleton got the other goal, and we got 2-0. Ronnie Whelan with his first ever goal away. First ever goal for Ireland, and Tony Galvin actually his only goal for Ireland in a 2-0 away. We lost to Bulgaria away from home, but that was blamed on Mark Lawrenson having suffered what would be eventually his career-ending injury against Wimbledon for Liverpool in, I think it was February 87.
Yeah. It's
And
it's 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 mad that qualification campaign because you
yeah,
mentioned Lawrence and Liam Brady scored didn't he score a last minute goal in one of the games?
yes, against Belgium
Yeah,
away,
that must be it. Yeah.
penalty,
So like if Lawrence and
penalty.
Brady playing those qualifiers, they never played in the finals.
Yeah, and Jim Beglin as well.
Your
Also
pal.
had, yeah, my pal, and haven't got the letter yet from the court order, but I'm sure it's there somewhere. Yeah, all these great players and great team, and it's just amazing and very sad actually that Jim Beglin, Mark Lawrence, and Lee Brady, as you said, just never played. And the reason for that was, well, actually, Lee Brady so we lost to Bulgaria away, 2-1, which was the highlights are there on YouTube if you want to catch them out. But we did beat them 2-0 in the home leg, in the home game. And Liam Brady got sent off in that for decking one of the Bulgarian players. Like actually smacked him. And it's so funny. It's if you ever see the footage where Jack, Liam Brady, first of all, does the whole oof, the up yours gesture. The continental style, not the middle finger, but the fist and the other sort of arm, going over the other, one arm overlapping the other in the sort of up yours fist. As the guy's on the ground, probably looking for the light switch, Jack goes on, arm around the shoulder, big smile on his face, and George Hamilton, and Jack must be delighted with his man for
You need to bring that. You need to bring that stuff back, don't you?
You really doing it well, as Graham Senior says. Well, it was a proper man's game. You had all that. Well, amongst the men, it was a proper man's game back then. No messing about. Although he did get sent off. He was spectacular.
You're going to get cancelled, Dave.
I already am cancelled, mate.
Yeah,
I never even got going. And then you had, the game in Scotland. Obviously, Mark Lawrence getting the goal there. He said which he actually hit with his eyes shut, which is kind of weird. Because he just never, you never saw him up. First of all, you never saw him that far up the pitch. And Jack gave him a bollocking after that match for being so high up the pitch. Why are you doing so high up the pitch? You're a defender. Which is kind of mental when you think about it. So anyway, there's some of the results. Yeah, they're well documented. And of course, then we had the European Championships of West Germany 1988. Let's have a look at the squad.
Phenomenal squad, isn't it?
It is a phenomenal squad.
Is this our best tournament squad ever?
Oh, hands down. And we're missing those three lads that we that we just spoke about there. So let's go through the squad. I'm going to talk about the club and the age that they were at the time. I have that information here in front of me. So we're going to go through numerical order, actually. I've got this off soccerireland.com, and he's gone through the squad number. So that's how we're going to do it. So number 1, Packy Bonner. He was 28 at the time, with Celtic. Number 2 was Chris Morris. He was 24, also at Celtic. Now, he would have got into this team because Mark Lawrence was out.
Yeah.
Just, Mark Lawrence, who won everything at Liverpool, European Cup, leagues, you name it, and was probably one of the best players in England at the time, who could actually play anywhere in the back 8. That's all across defence and all across midfield, which is mental. But he could play anywhere, and that's why he stayed in the Liverpool team for so long. So he was a huge miss. I'm not trying to disparage Chris Morris, Nick, but we've got to be honest here. We got to call a spade a spade.
Did you ever see Mike Bassett, Football Manager?
I did a very long time ago.
And they go into the player simulators, and they've got Maradona and the England, or he brings the England team in, doesn't he? And they're doing like the mazy run in Euro '88, and then they Pele and then other players doing the simulator of Pele, and then they have Mark Lawrence, and he's doing like keepy uppies with his knees and.
Jesus, that I don't even remember that.
Oh, must dig it out somewhere. It's brilliant.
Absolutely. Then, of course, number 3, Chris Hughton, 29 at Tottenham Hotspur. Number 4, Mick McCarthy, wasn't the captain at the time, at Celtic, 29. Kevin Moran, still at Man United, 32 at the time. He'd obviously start the games with Mick. And Mick at the back with Chris Hughton and Chris Morris. Then in midfield, you got number 6, Ronnie Whelan, 26 for Liverpool, prime Ronnie Whelan. No injuries, prime playing week in, week out, and winning shit.
Yeah, his shins were in very good shape as well, weren't they?
His shins were in sparkling form, especially during this tournament. Number 7, Paul McGrath, or Grath, as they would call him, Ron Atkinson would call him. No, 28 at the time, Manchester United. Now, he was a defender, but actually played as a midfielder. And Ron Atkinson said of him on the ITV commentary, says that Paul McGrath is the best centre-back in this tournament. And he was his manager, actually, up till, he actually signed him for Man United, I believe.
Yeah, 86 he would have left. And Ferguson came in, yeah.
That's right. So he knew what Paul McGrath was all about and would sign him subsequently for Aston Villa. Sorry, Graham Taylor signed him. I hope Eamon isn't listening. Eamon from the pod the other night, from the stream the other night, calling me a knob jockey. Graham Taylor.
Not too far wrong, really.
No, he's not. But so we had to keep these things private. But Paul McGrath was signed then by Graham Taylor, like great Graham Taylor in '89. But Ron Atkinson absolutely knew what he got the best out of Paul McGrath, didn't he, at Villa in subsequent years. But he would play in midfield in the centre of the park with Ronnie. Then number 8, you had Ray Houghton, who Liverpool 26. John Aldridge at Liverpool as well, top goal scorer in England for this tournament, 30 plus goals. He's 29, had no goals for Ireland, but 30 plus for Liverpool. Astounding, world class striker.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, the greatest striker to play for Ireland. Just put it out there.
One of the top scorers in football of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Aldridge. Imagine him playing in Mick McCarthy's Ireland. Oh my God. He was, I cannot, and I'm not just saying this because he's Liverpool, but I cannot overstate, how good John Aldridge was. And he was world class. He was lethal up front. But he hadn't gone to Real Sociedad yet. That would be the following year. But he was Liverpool's top goal scorer. He was phenomenal. A relative late starter too.
Yeah.
Then we have the captain, number 10, Frank Stapleton, Derby County at this time, 32, but still doing the job. And then we had number 11, Tony Galvin, Sheffield Wednesday, 31. Wasn't at Spurs at this time, but still a quality player. Then he had the subs, number 12, Tony Cascarino, Millwall, 25. Was a Division 1 player at the time, I believe. Liam O'Brien for Manchester United. He was only 23. David Kelly, Walsall, 22, number 14. Kevin Sheedy, Everton, 28. Number 15, quality, world-class player. And then the goalkeeper, number 16, Jerry Payton of Bournemouth. 32 at the time. Never really got a look in with Packy. John Byrne, Lee Harve, another forward, 27. A very good player in his day, actually. You had John Sheridan, Division 2 Leeds, 23 at the time, but quality player. John Anderson, defender at Newcastle, 28. And then, of course, you had Niall Quinn, number 20, forward, Arsenal, 21, only 9 caps and a goal under his belt. There was a bit of controversy, though, in the squad. So, obviously, you had Liam Brady out, you had Mark Lawrenson out, and you had Jim Beglin out. So, they should read 3 quality players. Jim Beglin hadn't quite reached the stages of world class at that time, but he was on his way, and he's playing week in, week out for a Liverpool team, for an outrageously good Liverpool team until that injury. But there was a bit of controversy, and that was don't know if you heard about this, but that was Davy Langan.
Yeah.
John Anderson was selected over him. Now, John Anderson was a bit of a favourite of Jack, because
there was the Newcastle link and stuff, wasn't there?
There was, and Davy Langan had played in a fair few games in, I think, about 5 or 6 of the qualifiers. So he played an awful lot of Ireland matches, but he was just deemed surplus to requirements and hurt feelings, really. And Jack had a fallout with people over that, because Davy Langan was very, very popular at the time. Because he was this swashbuckling. You never got to see him obviously live, but he was just kind of all action, rugged left back, and he was really brave and he was fantastic. And he suffered those injuries. He would play through cortisone injections and the like, and which actually caused him real proper pain and arthritis, and very, very tough. And
Was he with Aldridge and Houghton at Oxford?
he actually got him into the Ireland team.
Yeah.
He brought him
Neither
over.
was neither was some kind of link with them, yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't get in, and he was very annoyed about it. Even in his book, Running Through Walls, which you should get if you can. It is out there online. He was very, very bitter about that, and he said he should have absolutely got in, but he didn't. So there you go. So that's the squad. An average age of 27.2 years.
Yeah. It's mad hearing the ages of them lads, because I mean, I suppose when I started watching football, most of them were retired, or they were kind of, they were laid on. Like, I mean, Houghton was still playing when I started watching football, obviously Niall Quinn as well. But I mean, I just can't imagine them lads being that age. In my head, they've always been old men.
You cheeky bastard.
Yeah. Bit like yourself, Dave.
Bit like me, yeah. I feel like an old man. I mean, I can remember these guys playing. Right, so let's get to the match itself. 12th of June, 1988. And as luck would have it, Ireland's first game of them in the modern era at a major tournament would be against the old enemy of England. Now, I'm actually two English managers, two Geordies, in fact, Bobby Robson and Jack Charlton, of course. So here's the thing, and the thing that always gets me about this, Nick, is the narrative that we hear about this game, that this big powerhouse team, the mighty England, who should wipe the floor with little old Ireland, this team of ragamuffins, this dirty dozen, that had been lashed together by Jack Charlton, our saviour. Basically, we're lucky if we keep it to 3-0.
Yeah.
Which for me is absolutely outrageous, and not the way. I'm not disparaging Jack Charlton at all, by the way. He did a fantastic job, and we all love Jack. But let's be honest, this Ireland team, pound for pound, matches this English team.
Yeah. Is that our best ever lineup?
It's not. At a major tournament, it is for me, but it's not our greatest one of all time. My one would be Ireland against Scotland. And I'm actually going to get it up here on UR. But for me, it'd be Ireland against Scotland. And I'll tell you why. So we'll have a look at this team here first. So in goal, you got Bonner, Morrison, Chris Morris right back, Chris Hughton left back, McCarthy Moran in the centre, Whelan McGrath in the midfield, Houghton on the right, Galvin on the left, and you got Aldrich Statham in the front, right? That's a pretty good side. But the one in Scotland, which is also the same as the one against Bulgaria at home, was Bonner, Lawrenson, McCarthy, Moran, McGrath, Brady, Calvin, Ray Howden, Rodney Whelan, John Aldrich, and Frank Stapleton up front.
Yeah, cracking team.
That is a hell of a starting line. Now, of course, we don't have Lawrence and we don't have Brady, and unfortunately, we didn't have Jim Beglin at the time either. Now, that's not a bad lineup, but a bit unbalanced for me. So the narrative is that basically we got a goal early, early enough, and then they basically hammered us, and we were lucky to hold on. Yeah. That's not the truth. That is not really what happened there. Houghton scored in the 6th minute.
There was also, was there stuff about Gary Lineker as well, having diarrhea and not being well and all this kind of thing, and all these excuses kind of coming out after?
No, that was Italia 90.
He
had the shits. He actually shot himself on the pitch. He actually did shot himself on the pitch. So you look at the England team, you got Shilton, Stevens, Sansom, Webb, Mark Wright, Adams, Bobby Robson, Brian Robson, 31-year-old captain at the time of Man United, Chris Waddle, Beardsley, Lineker, Barnes. And don't get me wrong, especially Barnes, Lineker, Beardsley, Waddle, Robson, quality, and Adams would become absolute quality.
Yeah. Aging team, though. And I mean, 31 now, I mean, if you think of Robson, all the injury issues he had, I mean, 31 then would have been fairly geriatric for him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, when you consider like Brady was done pretty much like 32, wasn't he?
Yeah.
33. He looked after himself. Yeah. But I have watched this game back, and I would implore anybody to try and watch the 90 minutes of this game. We were in control. I remember watching this, the highlights, the ITV footage. And Ron Atkinson, who was on commentary that day with Brian Moore, he said it like at halftime. Yep, right result. Ireland are on top.
We could have been 2-0 up. I think Whelan hit the crossbar in the second half. It was only when Glenn Hoddle, who everybody expected to come in, that's when we struggled. And it was him with his balls over the top, getting in behind Mick McCarthy, because Mick didn't have any pace.
No.
He couldn't stand off. He had to be basically, he bullied you, he harassed you, he was an old school centre half. And it was only then that we started to struggle. And to be fair for England then, Bonner made a few great saves, and Beardsley, oh my God, he had a hell of a miss at the end. And Mark Hateley as well, right at the death, who came on for Beardsley. So we were hanging on a bit in the end, but it wasn't 90 minutes of this. And, we were lucky to hold on for 90 minutes. Absolute nonsense. And quite frankly, we could have picked a team that could have outplayed England, quite frankly. You could have had a Leary who was sitting at home crying, as Eamon Dumpy would say, with McGrath, centre back. Those lads could play the ball out. And, they could probably neutralise Glenn Hoddle. They were playing against him week in, week out. Well, they were when he was playing in Spurs in the 80s, so they knew what this guy was about. And actually, Ronnie Whelan said that, we held no fear for them. He said it in the Boys of Green documentary. And he was right.
Yeah.
But it's just this narrative that always does my head in. Now, when it comes to the bench, just looking there, obviously, they had a few better players. Well, Kevin Sheedy for us. But yeah, I held on at the end, but we could have been 2-3 up before they brought on Glenn Hoddle, quite frankly. That's probably a controversial but that's what I'm going to take from it. But of course, what a win though, eh? England 1-0. Ray Houghton. What was it Killian M2 said, Shilton, when he kept going on about Diego Maradona, about the hand of God 2 years previous.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah.
And he said Peter Shilton beaten 2 major tournaments in a row, beaten by the 2 smallest men, but with a header.
Yeah. What a bitter man, Peter Shilton.
You leave him alone now. I met Peter Shilton. It was quite nice. It was nice to me.
Did you give him a handshake?
I did, actually, yes. I shook his hand.
Hand of Davy?
Hand of Davy, yeah, and I beat him. Jumped over him. So that day, also later on that day, on the 12th, so that was a 3:30 kickoff. So at 8:15, Holland would play the Soviet Union. And the Soviet Union would beat Holland, if you can imagine.
Yeah.
Which is kind of mad. And then in the other group, because there was only 2 groups of 4, there was only 8 teams that qualified for Europe, 88. A couple of days previous, you had West Germany and Italy having a 1-1 draw, Denmark and Spain, Denmark losing 3-2 to Spain. That was how the first round went. So then the second game was Ireland against the Soviet Union on the 15th of June. And of course, we had the evening kickoff. Now, this is famous for Ronnie Whelan's absolute incredible shinner. In the 38th minute, just before half time, Mick McCarthy.
Such an unusual goal, isn't it?
Oh, it is. But what a lot of people talk about is that, and people who've watched this game remember this game, this is probably one of Ireland's finest performances at a major tournament. This was a more balanced Ireland team, I would suggest. Paul McGrath was injured for this, so he missed this one. So Kevin Sheedy comes in and replaces him, and you have Ronnie Whelan and Kevin Sheedy, who ironically played together for Liverpool up until 82. And then Sheedy left for Pastures New across the road.
Went to Everton, yeah.
Yep, and those two in the middle of the park absolutely bossed this game.
Yeah.
And we
what a midfield duo.
Yeah.
That's outrageous.
I mean, Galvin
very
on
balanced
left
as well.
Yeah, Galvin on left, Ronnie Whelan defensive midfielder, Sheedy as your ball playing midfielder, and then you have Ray Houghton on the right doing what Ray Houghton does best. This game, man, we should have been out of sight. We should have won this. We could have been 4 up. Tony Galvin got absolutely decapitated by the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And should have had a penalty. It was so infuriating. But Protestov, I'm sure I'm butchering that, in the 74th minute equalised. That's actually the match. That's the goal that coined the famous phrase from George Hamilton, danger here, danger here. and he scored. But this is a game we should have won. Ireland were brilliant. Absolutely brilliant in this game, and really won. That would have given us 4 points and probably would have put us out of sight actually
Yeah.
in the group. That would have given us 4 points because the same day England got battered by the Netherlands 3-1. Robson, that was actually a great game. The highlights of that. And over in the other group, in the second round, in the other group, West Germany beat Denmark 2-0, putting Denmark pretty much out of the competition, and Italy beating Spain 1-0. Right, so that takes us to the final round of matches with Ireland on 3 points, because back then you only got 2 points for the win and 1 point for the draw, which is free. First strikers forward have probably seen us through. And I know, right?
That's actually an interesting way of looking at it. Never even thought of that.
Yeah. Well, you would have had Soviet Union on 3 points, Ireland on 3 points, and Holland would have been also on 2 points.
2 points, yeah.
Yeah. So
it actually wouldn't have made a difference.
Well, no, but that's where you would have had, so if we had beaten the Soviet Union, they would have been on 2 points. We would have been on 4, and Netherlands would have been on 2. Yeah. Well, I don't know.
We'll stay positive about it.
Yeah, I reckon so. This is one narrative I want to keep going when it suits me. And of course, England out of the competition on nil point. Like they're completely gone after that 3-1 hammering to England. They didn't even play that bad in that game either, actually, in Dusseldorf. It was cracking. The highlights of it were really good. They actually hit the woodwork about 4 times, if I remember. Like they were so unlucky. But Van Basten with a hat trick.
I'm devastated for them, Dave, to be honest.
Oh yeah, no, it was absolutely terrible stuff. So final game, and you would have both games playing simultaneously. England at home to the Soviet Union. Well, they're not at home, are they? They're in Frankfurt. Okay, now
at home in Frankfurt.
At home in Frankfurt.
It's very late, lads. It's very late.
It's very late. And Ireland home to Netherlands in Gelsenkirchen. Both games playing simultaneously. Easy for me to say, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. Kind of academic for England. They're sort of just, going through the motions, but all to play for Ireland, and a draw, so let me get this right. So a draw would see us get 4 points, keep Netherlands on 3 points, and the Soviet Union on 5 points. If we get a draw.
Like, what was the mood coming into that, Dave? Like, do we fancy our chances? Where were we, I suppose, in terms of mindset?
I think the fans thought we'd get a draw, at least.
Yeah.
But I think the players, and Ronnie Whelan again touched on this, I think the players knew the game was up, because the lads have been out drinking after every game. They had, they celebrated and this is the thing that annoys me a little bit. So after beating England, the lads went out, got absolutely mullered, because wow, we beat England, that's it, that's it, we can go home now, we're heroes.
Yeah.
When instead of going, oh, hello, what a start, we got Soviet Union, with nothing to fear there, and we battered them. Couldn't get a result, but they went out getting on the lash after that, hadn't disgraced themselves, and now they got Netherlands, and they're playing in the searing heat at 3:30 in the afternoon in the summertime in Gelsenkirchen. So they weren't in the best of nick going in.
No.
And you had the Dutch that were going there to win it.
They're probably all stoned off their heads, though.
Yeah, nice and relaxed. So with this game, Paul McGrath comes back into it, because remember, he hit the post, didn't he?
Yeah.
In this match. So
2 goals he nearly scored against Holland in a major tournament.
Yeah, see, here's the thing, right? I don't get. As good as Sheedy and Whelan were in the game against the Soviet Union, he's dropped.
Yeah.
And Paul McGrath comes back in. And I totally understand that. But surely to God, you could put Paul McGrath in defence.
Yeah. Why do you kill momentum? Who comes out, though? Moran?
Well, I would have Mick out, but he's never going to, he encompassed the
mini Jack, really, isn't he?
He was a mini Jack, wasn't he, on the pitch? But Sheedy would come on eventually for Chris Morris, which I'd imagine would put Paul McGrath back at right back. Who Paul could play anywhere in the back four and actually back eight, I suppose. But yeah, it's just crazy stuff. But we ran out of steam in this one. And what always kills me, absolutely always kills me, is that on the 82nd minute, 8 minutes away from normal time, 8 minutes from a semi-final place, we go out to an offside Wim Keith goal.
Yeah.
And Jack actually, Jack talks about it on the bit. There's a Euro 88 video, which I have, and he's like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. You know, I know we're offside. It's like, well, kind of have to, Jack. And also, Packy Bonner had a back injury as well. Like, if you ever see it, it's just the ball goes in, it bounces off the ground. Wim Keith heads it. It's a wicked deflection. Bonner is poor for it, to be fair.
It's like USA '94, isn't it? Just fluky goals against the Dutch. And Paul McGrath nearly scoring.
And Paul McGrath nearly scoring. That was a hard one to take, man. We were 8 minutes away from the semi-final.
Was there a little element of UEFA narrative there, do you think?
Don't think back. No, I think they'd be giving them too much credit, if I'm honest. We would have played West Germany.
Yeah.
In the knockout stages, because first would play second in each group. So the way it stands, you have in our group, Soviet Union finish it first place with 5 points, Netherlands 4 points, second place, Ireland third with 3 points, and England, of course, go home with fuck all. In the other group, you would have had West Germany beat Spain 2-0, so they win the group on 5 points. Italy beat Denmark, who would finish second on 5, joint top, but because of a spirit goal difference, West Germany would go into semis as group winners. Spain go out on 2 points, which is mad, and Denmark go home with nothing, which is actually a bit mad from Denmark because they had a cracking team back then. They did so well at Mexico '86.
Well, they won the next one.
That's right. Yeah, they weren't even in it. Which is kind of mad when you think about Euro 92 because they won the next one. Ireland didn't even qualify, didn't even lose a game in the Euro 92 qualifiers, but went out because of poor finishing and actually scored the most goals in the qualifiers. But anyway, incredible stuff, man. West Germany in the next round. That Ireland team, you could, I'm not saying it was a shoe-in, but absolutely, like nothing to fear.
We're not going to see the like of that squad again, are we?
No, that Ireland team had nothing to fear with any of those other 7 sides. Like that, Italy or West Germany really, really, really could have done it. I mean, we played West Germany the following year, and got a 1-1 draw with them. As well, the infamous one where Lee Brady was hooked off. But it's actually funny if you watch Jack the Charlton years, or Jack Charlton the Irish years. They actually mentioned that the FAI were relieved because if they hadn't got to the semi-finals, they had no money.
They couldn't have afforded it. Couldn't make it up, could you?
You really couldn't. I mean,
John Delaney's dad was probably buying pints for himself or something like that in the bar.
Yeah, I'm sure Martin was there.
Joe Delaney. Martin was probably there.
Flogging tickets somewhere out of a suitcase. But that's the story anyway. The Irish team came home the next day to a massive hero's welcome, and Jack even said himself, didn't he? He said, God, I shudder to think what would happen if we actually won the bloody thing.
Yeah. He didn't like it though. He didn't like the whole homecoming, didn't he? No.
He said he was polite about it. He said it was nice, but it was a little strange. He was he's the man who'd won the World Cup with England. 22 years previous. So he's probably saying, "Oh, this is a bit strange," but we never qualified for anything really. The modern era, and actually going away on a going away to a tournament. I think it was the cultural impact though as well. Just want to talk about that. With Euro 88. I think people always say that U2. Some people say U2 kicked off the Celtic Tiger. Some people say Jack kicked off the Celtic Tiger. I think there's a few things, but what you have to remember with Euro 88, this would have introduced the Irish for a prolonged period of time to a lot of different cultures.
Yeah.
You know, going to a tournament and not just going to West Germany, but also because they would have had to go to other countries to get to West Germany because travel was mental, you know, and it was a different era back then. So they, you know, it would have introduced the Irish to a lot of Europeans and to a wider audience, you know.
It's like, oh, we have a stereotypical view that these guys are alcoholics, but turns out they're extreme alcoholics.
Yeah, but but unlike the English, they're happy.
They're
drunks,
very
happy
happy and very friendly.
and you know, and that was another thing as well. You know, the English fans were going around causing murder.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the club fans, you had Heysel, they were banned at this stage, and you know,
Yeah. 80s was a dark time for them.
it was. But then you know, you see the Irish fans and think, oh God, you know, they're just English, and then actually go, oh no, they're not. They're completely different. They're actually happy. They've nothing at the time. They're poor, but they're a happy bunch. You know, they're happy poor people. But anyway, that was Euro. That's an abridged sort of look at that. I think we're gonna have to revisit Euro.
Oh, we will be. We'll be doing a full series on all of the tournaments, but this is just our little I suppose this is our quick flyover.
Yeah.
As I said, Dave, this is like a bedtime story for me because I was -3.
You were -3. Martin was -30. We haven't got him on this.
I thought was Martin Irish at this stage, or was he still English?
I don't think he had discovered his diaspora just yet. I think that was Italian 90, wasn't it? That's when he discovered, he realized it was Irish. Martin,
look, you miss the pod at your peril.
That's it. If you're not on the pod, you get the piss taken out, and that's the rule. But anyway, we're gonna leave it there. Thank you for listening. If you're not already on the website and you want to catch all of our other episodes on this series, go on to thegreenmachinepodcast.com. Thegreenmachinepodcast.com. Give us a cheeky little follow over on Facebook /GM podcast. We're on Twitter. Also give us a cheeky little follow over at lansdowneroad.ie as well. We've got loads of stuff, loads of content for you there. Yeah, and on to the next one. We're not sure what we're going to do for the next one.
I think the next one is the US Cups.
We're doing the US Cups now, right?
Oh, wow. we most certainly are, but we're taking a little break for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're going to be a couple of weeks off this one.
Yeah. Just for anyone listening, we've recorded the last few at like crazy hours. I mean, at the moment it's 1 a.m. That's why we sound so tired.
and I've just finished. I was in work at 9 a.m. this morning, and I came straight home and into this. So yeah,
this is your work, David. This is all that matters.
I wish it was, because then I wouldn't have to work fucking 9 a.m. till fucking midnight, would I?
No, I'd have you doing something. Trust me.
Thank you, Tory Party. I am living the dream over here. Absolute dream over here in London. But anyway, folks, thank you for listening. We love your support. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a hate. I don't care. Just get the word out there. Get people involved in the Green Machine podcast. Give us a shout for some stickers if you want. We've got them for you, folks. Anyway, we're going to leave it to it. Safe home. Good night. God bless, and any other Irish euphemism I could think of.